Welcome to the KFA podcast, where our mission is to keep faith alive by kicking ass.
Well, we meet at last in
Here
person,
we are,
Buck.
in person,
This
in the flesh.
Yeah, we've got probably 30, 42 active listeners on this podcast so far.
Hey,
but we're
let's
looking
blow
to
it up.
hype this thing up now.
Dude, tag me in this thing. I'm going to share it to everybody.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So you just landed.
Yes.
You're not feeling.
I'm back on my game.
Are
I'm
you?
slowly getting there. Slowly getting there. Yeah, travel just takes you down every now and then.
How much you've been traveling a lot?
Man, it's nonstop. I go to Dubai tomorrow morning.
Tomorrow?
Yeah, tomorrow morning.
How long's that flight?
That's 16 hours for us.
Oh my gosh.
So I'll just lay down and sleep through the whole thing. But is this the second event that you've ever done for KFA?
Second large event. Last year we did two smaller quarterlies to keep momentum going, but that was only 100, 150-ish people of those ones. So.
And how has this one been different? I mean, this is huge. You got a lot of people. Half Pacific Northwest showed up today.
It is a lot. Yeah, I think we have 675, something like that.
Wow.
Registered attendees.
Congratulations, man.
Yeah,
That is
appreciate
really
it.
cool. I think
It's been
people
quite
don't
fun.
realize how brave you have to be to put an event on of this size.
It's
easy to do coffee shop meetups.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's certainly what I've been saying is that you kind of meet at the precipice of faith and fear.
I love it.
Doing something like this because there's just so much that I'm definitely a spiritual guy, and there's so much that's out of our control.
Yeah.
Will people show up? How's it actually going to go?
So true.
And I think Ed Milet said it. At least he's who I heard it from first. But I love the idea behind it that like 50% of life is about what you can control, and 50% you have to be comfortable leaving it up to the mystical.
That's so true.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Wise words.
That's what this thing does for us. But
Yeah.
it's been a great experience, and man, I'm just so happy that you're here and we finally get to meet. And
I know.
It was probably 4 or 5 months ago that we first met.
That was it. I was like, bro, you got to do this.
Inquiry online.
Yeah.
Went to you about Ryan Serhan. I remember when we were sitting in our meeting and
That's it.
we were like, well, let's just do this. And we were like, that's never going to happen.
Nah, you got to do it.
Yeah, we didn't.
You gotta
I
go
mean,
big. You gotta
we certainly
go
thought
big to
it
play
wouldn't be
big, you know?
possible. Yeah.
So
we went for it, and you're here now, and you're taking stage here in a little bit.
it's not long now, yeah. And I'll be talking all things personal brand, all things marketing, getting people the strategy that they need. Because, you've been doing this for a while in the real estate game. Most agents, what they do is they just hire a video guy. There's like, that's my marketing strategy. And It's like, no, that's not strategy. That's creative. And so I'm going to get really technical on what is strategy and how to have a better strategy.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this podcast will obviously be coming out after you're on stage, and I'm assuming probably going to be a lot of listeners from people who are here that you impact,
Yes.
and that want a little bit more out of what you are
Yeah,
going
man.
to talk about. So I know it's a little bit backwards because obviously you haven't. I don't know exactly what you're going to say out there yet myself, but
Sure.
What are some I want to go a little bit deeper on some of the strategies that you're going to be.
I'll tell you the two things that everybody misses. What is your brand and what does it stand for and how is it different and who's your target?
Right.
That's really it. If you don't have those two things, you're already losing. And so you got to stay focused on those two things. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Those are the biggest pieces. Now, there's a lot of integral details to understanding your brand and understanding your target.
Sure.
I would say it's almost more important that you know who you're speaking to, because you say the word personal brand and people think it's about me, and it's not. You do have to understand yourself. You have to know who you are. But the minute somebody says, I have a personal brand, I'm online, I'm on social, I talk about myself, you're losing your target because your target just doesn't give a crap about you. Target just doesn't care. They're
Sure.
in it to win it for themselves.
Totally.
So you got to focus in.
How do you
on it.
connect with them, and what? And I think specifically, obviously, our audience is heavily made up of real estate agents.
Yes.
And you obviously work with tons of different people on their personal brand and their brand strategy. But
Yes.
from what I can tell, oftentimes like realtors feel like a demographic that really struggle with it because their audience is everyone, right? Anyone who wants to buy a home.
It's so true.
And so, what is maybe a strategy, I guess, speaking specifically to real estate agents? Is it all about niching down and building your presence around that?
That's such a good question. That's the best question you're going to hear on this podcast. It really is. And I'll tell you why. Agents are so transactional and they got to get relational.
Yeah.
They're so focused on what they do instead of why they do it. I know immediately when I see a real estate agent or lender or anybody in the real estate space, investor, and they say, they grab their phone and they're like, hey, if you're looking to buy, you're looking to sell, you're looking to invest, like I'm your guy, right? Or hey, I'm all things real estate. I met with a massive multi-million-dollar agent this morning, and I watched her content, and she had like red cams and like boom mic, like probably spent 20
higher
grand.
quality equipment than this is being filmed on right here.
And she says this, ready? If you need all things real estate, that's me. No strategy. You spent all that money and you got no strategy. I know when somebody says that, they don't know who they're talking to. And so back to my point of being relational, not being transactional. You're not selling a house. You're not listing a house. You're mediating peace in a divorce where they're trying to get their house off the market. Right. Like you got to get really specific about your value and who you're talking to. Empty nesters, you're walking them through a difficult process, a new stage in their life, and you're trying to inspire them on why it's a good thing, why they should be excited about downsizing.
Right.
It's like there's so many different personas that you could be talking to, but I promise you this, if you're talking to everybody, this, Dayton, they're talking to nobody, And so you just got to be really specific. Every time you go, like if you're recording on a nice camera like these Canons, or if you're doing organic, raw, real-time content like this, who's on the other side? Who is this person right here? Because remember, people don't consume content in a group. They consume it by themselves. That's the behavior. Right. Here's the truth. 80% of your content's probably consumed on a toilet. That's what people are doing. They're singular. They're laying in bed. They're on a subway. They're on a plane. They're on the toilet. They have a moment, a break. Right? Right now, you and I aren't on social. This is not a behavior. While we're talking, we don't do that. Kids might. They're rude.
Yeah.
Right? But for the most part, people are by themselves. They're on a break, and they're interested. They want to be entertained. They want to be inspired. They want to be motivated. They want to be educated.
Yep.
So what are you doing, and who are you doing it with? Just get really specific.
That makes a lot of sense. And so what would you say to, because something I hear from realtors is the fear around being too specific. Like, well, I mean, I love working with the senior community, but I also love first-time homebuyers, so I don't want to make all of my branding around that. And I think there's a big fear around that. And I obviously I know that you have extensive experience in working with realtors in their marketing. And I mean, what would you say to that person, or like, what have you truly seen? Because
I thought that was a good question you asked before, but now this is a better question. Now there's not going to be a better question. This is it. This is the one. The answer is this. Go back to last year's GCI. What had the biggest impact on revenue? Okay, whatever had the biggest impact on your GCI, so you're looking for trend lines.
Yep.
Who did you talk to the most that created the most revenue? Let me tell you why, because I already hear people, well, I do first-time home buyers, but I want to do luxury. Right? Okay. One, it's easier to rinse and repeat and replicate data that you already have from the year prior.
Sure.
Once you already understand that target and persona, now you can diversify and you can start to attempt to reach a new audience. But I'll tell you this, the audience is not on the same platform and they don't have the same problems. And you got to stop having conversations or starting conversations in places where they're not asking for them. You got to meet people in the place where they're already having those conversations and be really intentional about it.
Wow.
But think about your platforms that you have. Like this is probably going to go on YouTube, right?
Yeah.
And then this will probably get cut up and go on Instagram, right? And it'll get cut up and put on TikTok. And like you might choose different clips from this conversation based on what platform it's going on, who you're trying to read. Are you trying to recruit? Are you trying to actually do another event and sell to real estate agents? Like whatever it is, you'd be specific and strategic with this content on those platforms.
That makes a lot of sense.
So
you're not necessarily going to reach the senior community on TikTok. So you could have separate brands presented in different ways on different platforms.
You definitely should.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and you might be surprised, honestly. Do you know the average age and demographic on TikTok right now?
No.
35, 40 male.
Really?
Is the number one largest community on TikTok.
That's insane to think
And
about.
female right behind that. They're like 18, 34. They're a little bit younger female. But older men have adapted to TikTok faster than older females. Yeah, and they have disposable income.
So fast.
They're spending money. TikTok shop is a big deal right now. People are buying the dumbest stuff. I'm buying dumb stuff.
I bought my first few things off there.
Did you?
Recently.
Yeah, I got a what is it called? Nightstand gun case that like you put your thumb on it and it slides out. I was like, sucker, got it. Got it. Yeah, there's all kinds of weird things on there.
Oh, 100%. Man, no, that's crazy. It feels like just the other day that Gary Vee was talking about TikTok, and I was like, what the heck is that? And it feels like that was yesterday.
Well, I don't want to blow your brains here, but they're coming out with a new app. So TikTok's coming out. They announced it last week. It's called Notes. Notes.
Okay. I think I have an app called Notes in my iPhone.
The Apple Notes, probably. Yeah.
What is it?
Ready? Mm-hmm. It is photo only to compete and crush Instagram.
Wow.
Number one, it's a competitor against Instagram. Number two, it's a diversified security strategy if the government decides to shut down TikTok's video app.
Sure.
Now they have a photo app they'd have to run a whole new legislation on. So they're going to just shuttle everybody over to another app, basically. It's a backup plan.
How do you think that, I mean, I know TikTok's dominating right now, but Instagram has for years, and they just tried this Threads thing to compete with Twitter.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't know the data on it, but it doesn't seem to be catching on as well as people expected or hoped.
Yeah. Which one? Twitter?
The Instagram Threads. Is that
Threads. Yeah. No.
So do you think this might be similar from the TikTok's perspective?
Threads Notes.
TikTok trying to do something like that Instagram kind of already really owns.
I think it'll be interesting. What I think of when I think of new platforms is people always say, I don't know if I should get on TikTok. They might shut it down. I'm going to wait and see what the platform, like if it has growth.
Yep.
By the time you wait, if it does catch, you're too late. So invest early. And the reason I say invest early in any new app, I'm an A/B tester. People say, Buck, you're a marketing expert. No, I'm an A/B tester.
Right.
I'm always testing. I know what I know from 25 years of experience. It gives me a little bit of a head start in some areas. But I'm always testing. I don't know if the new Notes app is going to be like world changing. What I do know from my years of experience, any new platform has one goal and one goal only. DAU. That is how money is made, daily active users. So every platform has a job to do. The minute they launch, they need people to come and stay. That's it. So what do they do when they launch an app? They release the algorithm. They loosen the algorithm. Right now on Instagram, it's 3% of your audience will actually see what you're doing. Okay. When TikTok launched, it's 20% because they wanted you to get engaged and connect, and they didn't have ads when they launched. So Notes won't have ads, and it'll be organic, and it'll open up to 20, 30%. So everyone that does jump on is going to connect and see your content faster. So I say do it. Every new app, just do it. Test it out. Play with it. There are some people that went hard on Threads. They're still there. I see them. I just, the growth just isn't there.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So one thing that I feel like realtors often struggle with when it comes to this content is like, and I get overwhelmed by, even with like this event, knowing every day we had a countdown post and need to be posted here. Like what is I guess the best strategy outside of maybe, paying a full-time assistant or a couple employees or whatever to really, like the Hermosi approach. He's got a huge machine behind his content.
Yeah.
So if you're a realtor, maybe solo or smaller operation, but you need to be consistent without taking on another full-time job.
Yeah.
What are some hacks that?
Oh, easy, man. This is so easy. This is the moneymaker. That's why it's green, because it makes money.
Love it.
About 1.2 million on Instagram alone, revenue will come from this thing. Just connecting with the right people. And so, your job is to answer this question. How many people can I meet today that I didn't know yesterday? And sure, you could go knock on doors, or you can connect with thousands of people through this, right? But organic content, that's organic. That's not what we're doing here. This is, we've got cameras set up in here. This is high polished content. What this is doing for us is credibility, awareness, attention, authority in our space. This is a higher level type of content. From this content, you really don't convert because it's not intimate. Sure. Right now, they're watching a Netflix series. It's the same feeling, right? So they're interested and entertained and they're learning things. This closes deals. Yeah. This converts. This makes the connection. You're approachable. You're likable. You're just like them. You're not some guy with a mic who they'll never get a chance to meet, you know? And so I don't mind polished content. How do you use them both? But back to your question, if you're young and new and you have no budget, the phone is all you need. Yeah. Buy a tripod for
plus
20
consistency,
bucks.
Right?
Consistency. Yeah, I mean, you got to go. You got to do it.
You
Put the work in.
it.
Yeah, that's it.
It makes a lot of sense. Well, so I don't know how long we have to go here. It's but I do want to know just a little bit, like what is the most important thing on your mind to share today?
Yeah,
and just in general to the maybe either to the real estate community or just around branding.
I'm gonna take a page out of your book because you had the courage to create such a badass event. And so, what I would ask anybody that's watching this, you know, if you're looking for growth, if you're serious, if you're like, I know I'm worth more, I know I can do more, and I want it, then the question you have to ask yourself is, if you couldn't fail, what would you do right now? Yeah, if you couldn't fail, if you knew failure wasn't an option, would you do this event? Like, why would people are watching you on the stage? There's 800 people here, right? And they're watching you, and they're going, man, I would never do this. I wouldn't even know where to start. Neither did you guys the first time you did it, or the second time. You learned as you went, right?
Yeah, we still don't know what we're doing.
Yeah, but you have the courage to try.
Yeah,
and that's, you know, and that's the thing that drives me the most nuts, is that, you know, people, one, they don't their mindset doesn't even allow them to think that they're capable. Everyone has the same hours in a day. We're all capable to put in the time, put in the effort. So I would say take a page out of his book, have the courage, do something big, make more connections. The more people you meet, you know, the more money you're going to make. So that would be my best advice.
I appreciate that.
Cool.
Yeah, we've just had this motto recently of, I don't remember where we came across it, but it's like the fear that you have isn't that it'll work out. The fear is that you don't know if you trust yourself enough that you're going to make it work out.
That's right.
And down the stretch here, I will be completely honest, and I don't know if most people know this, but I mean, I've never worked so many hours in my life.
Yeah, I've seen you. You've been
driven through passion, but I mean, real late nights and
I mean,
a couple 2 a.m.ers leaving the office.
You've been crushing it. Yeah.
But I mean, that's really what it is, because for us, we're confident that we're in a moment of stress and the pinch, like we'll make it work. We'll get it together.
I think they call that fail fast.
Sure.
Get it wrong to get it right. Mm-hmm. You know, my dad would always say, change the tire while the wheel moves, right? You know, it's just like, you can't over obsess on the detail. Yeah. You know, I saw when our first phone call, I knew you were the visionary guy. You were like the big idea guy. Now, you need to be surrounded by analyzers, and you are. Oh, yeah. I think your dad's an analyzer.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And so he's like, wait a minute, what's the ROI? How much do we spend? When does it, you know, but like, you got to have both. And so like, you've got all these big ideas, and you've got people that help you execute them. And you guys work well together. You just go, you know?
Yeah. Well, it's funny because when I first got out of high school, I decided to get into real estate because the first thing I said was, there's no way I can work with my dad. Like, because we butt heads. Yeah. So I wasn't going to be a lender. But in this role, I think we've been able to kind of find our places and how
it feels
that works
like
together.
it. I mean, I've worked with you guys for a few months now, and it's like, it seems like you guys have your yin and yang, and all the you know what you do, and then he does what he does. Sure. Yeah. No,
that's amazing. That's great, I appreciate your time and just sitting down for a little bit. And I know you guys will be seeing this after he hits the stage here in just a moment.
That's right. Get ready for KFA 2025. Are you ready? Mm-hmm. We're already pitching next year.
Yeah. Who knows? Maybe Gary V. I don't know.
Gary V. Let's do it, man.
That would be wild.
I'd love it.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, you got it.
Appreciate it.
Welcome to the KFA podcast, where our mission is to keep faith alive by kicking ass.